This episode of the Long Run Podcast is sponsored by Skechers. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Paris. We are live from Paris and beaming into your homes. It may look like we're still like where we usually are, but actually these are all virtual screens behind me. Look, as you can see, it's not actually there. Hayden is not actually there. Al is not actually there. So we are live from Paris. Nathan Fish and Chip Shop brought us out here for a special this week. I've spent enough money down there the last couple of weeks now. Marathon trains in full swing to pay for a first-class return ticket, but by air, which is a bit of luck, really. So, yes, we're in Paris, live from there. We've got Snoop Doggy Dogg coming on later to entertain the nation as well. And today we're going to be talking about my favourite subject, but we're going to be talking about running shoes. But I thought it'd be a good week because we've got the boys on this week. The reason I mentioned it is because we all got our different feeling about shoes. That's why I wanted to talk about it in relation to the boys being on. But I wanted to talk about choosing the right shoes. Obviously, it's critical in terms of getting the right choice, and we'll come on to that later. We've got the usual complete madness to start off with, but we will get on to, and I've got like 5 or 6 things in terms that I want to chat about in terms of choosing the right shoe. Okay, so bear with us. So if you're watching live and you're not watching the start of the opening ceremony of the Olympics, which we will be on after this, by the way, that's why they brought us out here. We are going to be talking through all these bits and bobs, so make sure you get in the comments, say hello and all that sort of stuff. Yes, I know we went early today. That's because I simply don't care. And we went out before 7 o'clock, but that's because we can. So if you're listening to this back as a podcast, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Make sure you leave us some nice reviews and go on other podcasts and leave terrible reviews for them. Are we allowed to say that, Wilco?
We're allowed to say what we like, mate.
There we go. We've got to give a shout out to our friends at Skechers who are sponsoring. I also got to give a shout out to Skechers because they sent me a nice note here. They said, "Hi, FORDY. We hope you love your new Skechers bits." They sent me a lot of stuff. Have a lovely time in Mallorca. Isn't that nice? Heroes. Okay, so what else? Give a shout out to the guys at Kendall. We announced this week, partners with Fuel and Hydration now, Kendall. Make sure you use the code, Hayden. What is it?
It is. I'm going to have a rough guess at 40 runs.
Well done. And you're going to get some money off Kendall, which I think is just probably the best fuel and hydration product out there. I'm not saying that because they partner with us. I'm saying it because I use the bloody stuff. And I will be using a lot of it tomorrow. And then we've got to give a shout out to our friends at Start Fitness. What's the code for Start Fitness?
40 runs.
Well done. Well done. And we're going to put Al on the spot because I'm not sure why. Al, you ready?
Don't know.
Al,
is it going to be a tricky one?
Yeah. Shoe socks. We've got a discount code.
I don't know. It might be 40 runs.
No, it's not. It's not. It's a curveball. It's 40-15. A bit of a curveball for Al.
Oh, that's not fair.
You got tapped up there, didn't you?
Yeah, I stitched you up there. Sorry, brother. If you haven't signed up for the Great North Run Shakeout, please do. That's going to be massive. It actually already is massive. We're all panicking about that. And if you are on there, sign up for the Great North Run Shakeout, you may notice that there's a Yorkshire Marathon Shakeout run on there. I haven't told anybody that it's on there. I'm letting you into a little secret. Just don't tell anyone. Okay. Right, boys. How are we all doing? We've got Hayden, Coach Al, and Wilco with us. Coach Al, how are you doing?
Well, I've just looked. Snoop Doggy Dogg went to University of Louisiana and he holds the track record of 10.73 for the 100 meters, apparently.
There you go.
No, I just made that up.
I'll tell
That's
you what,
why he's carrying the American flag tonight.
Shall I make you laugh? Do you know what shoes he wears?
Yep, Skechers.
I'm not joking either. He's sponsored by Skechers.
So what was the question again, Chris? Am I all right?
I was just asking how you were, bruv.
I'm all right. Yeah.
What we got coming up in August?
A few park runs.
Fill the viewers and
Am I supposed to remember where they are? Right.
No,
okay.
just again, make it up. They won't know.
Well, they might end up going to the wrong ones and they'll be going, these extremes are very extreme.
Yeah, I'm on my own.
Turns out. So, obviously, they're all Saturdays at 9 a.m. Saturday the 3rd, we are going down to Southampton.
Right.
And I think we're going to be hosted by Adam, who's been on the podcast recently. I'm not sure if he's told anyone yet, but it actually will be his first ever parkrun.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's
So he's
good.
going large by going extreme for number one. And my worry is that it will never seem. Every other park run will just, you'll never go again because you can't match that one.
Yep.
10th, we're up to. I always get this wrong. Tony tells me off. It's near Lichfield. It's Beacon.
Okay.
And I say Staffs, and she goes, "No, it's not Staffs. It's whatever." But it's Beacon.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. It's north of Watford Gap. Then on the 17th, we head across to Sheffield. We were going to go to Rother Valley, but they're doing some work, so they've kindly told us that the course won't really be available, or there's a risk it won't. So we've swerved into a place called Graves, which is really hilly. Oof. So we won't tell anyone about that. That's on the 17th and hosted by David Turner. Mm-hmm. Then we head back down south to Bushy for 2, and there's reasons for being there twice. 24th, it's Marissa's 250th parkrun. Also coincides with Bushy 999. So if you love a little bit of parkrun challenges, that's the first 999. So you might get the chance to complete your Nelson challenge. Mm. If you can't make it that day, don't worry, because the following week, 31st of August, it's actually the round 1000. So okay. And I think that's going to be, well, who knows how big that one could be.
Massive.
I think parking might be an issue. So I would recommend you perhaps
go now.
Stay at Hayden's or get on the train at Hampton Court.
He's actually got a car park. Have you ever been there? At Hayden's? I'm not joking.
Not since he's moved, no.
No, I'm not joking, Wilco. Hayden's got a car park at the front of his house.
What, his own NCP? Sort of, do you have to pay?
No, it's not like, it's like, when you pull up them long drives and then you've got like that big fountain thing in the middle. On each, Hayden, I'm not lying, you've got each side of it, he has all like his posh guys on one side, then he has all like the things that he...
So if I pulled up in the old green Fiesta, would his butler
you won't get through the gates. You'll be shot on sight.
No, would his butler park it for me?
No, you won't be allowed on.
He don't jump into cars less than a 2022 plate.
That's what I'm saying.
No chance.
Oh, don't go, Wilco. You're not well.
Don't listen to this, Wally. He's talking absolute rubbish. And the problem's going to be is I'm not even there, because at the moment I've closed the blinds in my hotel room because the sun's sort of like reflecting from the Eiffel Tower. We're here in Paris.
Yeah,
it's coming straight through. So I'm in Paris at the moment anyway at the Olympics. So waste of time coming around to my house.
Waste of time going there. Right. Okay. Actually, talking about that. So obviously the Olympics, if you don't know what's happening, like it might not be your thing, but the Olympics are starting like literally now, which is probably why nobody's watching this. But don't forget, we do get 1 million downloads. But everyone's watching that. What I really want to know, and this is just a genuine question, when does all like the proper stuff start? Like all this other stuff, like.
But so how do you define the proper stuff?
The stuff that's interesting to me.
Well, what stuff is interesting to you? Perhaps you could enlighten us as to what stuff you're interested in.
I'm only interested,
and then we can furnish you with the details of what events of the program might suit your taste.
1500 meters, because I want to see Josh and I want to see Ingebrigtsen go up against it large.
Yeah, that's going to be.
I want to see the 800 meters because we've got the girl
Keely Hodgkinson,
yeah.
Keely, sorry, and I want to obviously see the marathon. I don't, the other stuff, the 100 meters and all that sort of stuff. I'm track and field. This is my area of expertise. I don't know why they bought us here early. To be
honest. You've basically got a week to wait for the track and field. You got all the swimming events kicking in first.
So dull, and it's going to be all over the TV.
Well, watch something else. You got Netflix, haven't you? Watch something.
Yeah, I have to find something.
Go out for a run.
Yeah, but I finished watching The Acolyte, so I've got nothing to watch now. I'm just moping about, getting on everybody's nerves here. Good thing is, I'm going on holiday, so don't worry about it.
Oh, well, that's we won't.
I've got a question for you. I've got a question for all of you, and I want you to play along at home, because again, there's not many people, but even when you're on your run, if animals could do the Olympics, which animal would be best at what?
Oh.
I know. It's a good one, isn't it? Right, so play along. So let's talk about it. What's the main events at the Olympics?
Oh, can I just say
something? This is an award-winning podcast.
This has got to be easy. Really, really straightforward, easy. And to be fair, with the Olympics, we all love the sports, but you might not be interested, but the sort of like number one event's going to be the 100 meters. And if you're going to be 100 meters, you want to be a cheater.
Yeah, cheater.
Oh, you're going to win straight out. There you go. Cheater, 100 meters, gold medal.
Or if you're a peregrine falcon, you'll fly faster than a cheetah and you'll win.
That's a good point.
A cheetah is only the fastest land mammal. You see, it's not the fastest animal.
Okay, so the cheetah and the peregrine are going. They're going to be like Ingebrigtsen and
yeah,
Josh.
it's like
That's going to be large. Al?
Well, I'm going curveball. I'm going into the triathlon, and I'm gonna go up against the hippopotamus, because you've all seen that meme where hippopotamus can outrun us as humans. They can outswim us. So your only chance of beating a hippopotamus in a triathlon is on the bike. So you've got a chance. You've got to kind of stick with them on the bike.
They kill more people than anything else.
I've never seen a hippopotamus on a bike.
Hippos kill more people than any other animal.
That is true. Very true.
I'm just trying to think what other events are there. Penguins would be good at swimming. Diving. They'd be good at diving. Penguins would be good at diving.
I was actually listening to a strange podcast, and hares are one of the fastest animals. Yeah. Pound for pound, size for size, they are faster than cheetahs. So you want your hare.
I've got a bit of a curveball. Well, I was going to say, what about a horse doing dressage? It's what they do anyway. It's their job, isn't it? Bread and butter.
And now you're going into controversy, aren't you?
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Let's move on.
We cut that.
Now, Hayden, you was going to tell me something just before we came live on air, and I genuinely have got no idea what it is. What was you going to say?
Yeah, no, I was just having a flick through on the phone, mucking about, waiting for you. Obviously, she don't come on until about 2 minutes to 7. But I was just flicking through, and I've seen a new thing. I don't know how you feel about this, but there is something new out there at the moment, it's particularly in Indonesia, and it's called being a Strava jockey. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So there are people in Indonesia at the moment that are charging sort of like high corporate and high profile people money to do their Strava runs for them. So that it comes up in their Strava and they look good. And this is becoming a business for these youngsters that are runners that have no other work. And part of me thinks it's funny. Part of me thinks it's outrageous. Part of me thinks if I was that person in a high profile place and I wanted to make all my clients think that I'm a fast runner and I go out smashing out 20 milers every week, even though I can't, that make me look good? Would I do that? And then I think from the other perspective, if I'm a youngster, would I get involved in this and earn a bit of money for just running for someone else?
100%.
It's a bit strange. Honestly, it's taken off in Indonesia, and they're reckoning in Strava they're going to need to control it. It's going to spread around the world.
Well, okay. So what's Strava doing about it, apart from charging more people more money?
I think they've just been hit with this, to be fair, straight in the face, and they're like, what do we do about it? What can you do about it? If I offered you, Chris, I want you to run, obviously I'm faster than you, so if I want you to run a decent marathon, right?
Casually drop that in.
Okay. You say to me, Hayden, do you know what? Can you Boston qualify for me? I'm like, yeah, go on then, mate. I'll do it for you. What can you do to stop it? If I'm logged into your Strava and stuff, what could Strava do?
Well, you can't Boston qualify from your Strava, can you?
No, but it can make him look like
it's going to be a bit like like Wikipedia, that anybody can go into Wikipedia and write anything on it. So consequently, it's not regarded as a reputable source.
Wilco, stop there. You can go on Wikipedia and write a Wikipedia page.
Yes.
Yeah?
It's open source, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
That's being done straight
Don't tell him this. Why have you told him that, Wilco? Why have you told him?
This is brilliant, this. Seriously, you don't have to pay nothing.
No.
Right.
Anybody can update Wikipedia. But consequently, people, it just loses its worth of being on Strava. If you do, it's just a bit pathetic. Why would you want?
Because if you're a big CEO of this big company and you've got people that look up to you, respecting you, and every morning they go on their Strava and they see that their main boss has just smashed out a 20 mile, they're like, my boss is an absolute hero. Look at him. Even though he's done absolutely nothing.
I'd never think that about any boss.
I get that a lot. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Firstly, I despise Strava. I think what they've done to people is outrageous in terms of putting the prices up sneakily and the way they've created a culture that's not going in a good way in terms of this sort of stuff and this comparison thing. Oh, I know it's human nature, but still, I think that they're sucking the life out of humanity. But yeah, I don't know. I think fair play to the kids who are doing it because they're having to run bloody fast. It's a weird thing, right? So a question for you three. I was standing next to Ben at, I can't remember what race it was, and his tripod came up on connect to it. So would you connect to somebody's tripod?
Well, it happens with heart rate monitors, doesn't it?
Yeah, would you
it's
connect
always
to somebody
tempting,
else?
but you don't know who it is. It's like Jeopardy, isn't it? Are you going to sign up and are you going to subscribe to the guy that's just about to do a 16-minute park run, or are you going to get unlucky and end up signing up with a tail walker? So it's Jeopardy. I don't know.
The whole purpose of it is to keep a record of your running achievements. It's pointless. What's the point?
I don't disagree, but it came up on my watch and I was like, what's that? And then I realised, because Ben was standing next to me with that soppy thing on his stupid shoe. And then I was just, oh no. But do you know what I mean? I wonder if people would do that.
The problem is you've got to think, so tripod, definitely with heart rate monitors, it's connected with like Bluetooth. So I was talking about the 16-minute park run guy. Yeah, that's fine. But I tell you what, you have to keep up with him for at least about 16.5 minutes to be able to get the results with the Bluetooth without getting disconnected. So good luck. If you can run a 16.5-minute park run, you deserve that 16-minute one. Fair play.
No, I don't think I could do that. Moving on, because I do want. That's really interesting. That
Strava jockey. That's what it's called. Google it. It's becoming a big thing.
Hold tight. KT's gone 2-footed here. Finally, a good topic. What do you mean? Finally, a good topic. So the last 300 episodes is what you're saying is absolute pony, KT. Right, KT. Now hang on, Wilco. I'm going strong here. KT, have the minerals to email in hello@fordyruns.com and we will get you on. And then you can tell everybody and we can talk about anything you want. All right. So come on you come, KT. Get the minerals. Email in. We'll have you on, and you can talk about any subject you want to. How's that? So call me out.
Maybe they were talking about the cheetah and the monkey and the peregrine falcon and all that.
That is a good topic. Hayden,
yeah,
what are you doing on Sunday?
It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, to be fair, but I am going to give a go the London T100 triathlon, the Olympic distance.
Yeah, can I ask something?
Of course you can.
Why does it keep getting called T100?
I think that's just the name of the event. So the T100 is a distance. This is the thing with triathlons. It's not just a triathlon. They have so many different distances and different disciplines. They have an Olympic one, a sprint one, a T100 one. But they've got like some real heavy duty dudes who are doing this T100.
Yeah, what does T100 stand for?
So the T100 is the new brand of triathlons that happen around the world on like a league basis. So all the elite triathletes come together on a kind of circuit, a bit like Diamond League. If you think of the principle of Diamond League, they come together and they compete over 10 or 12 events. And that is the distance they've set. So it's 100, I think it's 100 miles in total. That combination of swim, bike, and cycle.
It's like Diamond League sort of thing.
Yeah.
No, because I keep seeing it. All these heroes now on Instagram. Doing a T100. Oh, yeah, lovely. Superstars. I mean, like, who cares, right? I don't really care about Hayden's doing it. The only thing I want to see is his little hobbit feet running about in the changeover. So, have you done any training for this, or are you just going to wing it?
No, I've done a bit of training. Obviously, running, I'm always running anyway. The bike ride, I trained up for Ride 100, but I ain't done nothing since. Swimming, I don't mind a bit of swimming. But the thing I've never done before is the whole 3 in a go. So a couple of days ago, I went out and done like a mock one. And yeah, it went pretty well. Not too bad at all. It's a bit funny going from the bike ride to the run. Feels a bit weird, but after a couple of kilometres, get back into your stride.
But to be fair, you're in the lucky position. You can jump in your pool. Right, your Olympic-sized pole. You can get out, right? You can then go and do your bike around your manor, which is about 5-6 miles, and then you come out and then you can do the thing, can't you? So, do you know what I mean? You're in a very privileged position versus I couldn't do it. I'd have to swim in the River Lee, right? And then I'd probably get my bike nicked down at Broxbourne Station, and then some angry person from Enfield would probably try and knock me out as I'm running along.
If it makes you feel any better, what I actually done for this run was I went to the local pool, done the swim in the pool, come out, I borrowed a van from work, I had my bike stuffed in the back of this van, so I run to the van, jumped on the bike, locked it up, come back to the van, put the bike back in, and then done my run. Nothing glamorous.
Is that so you felt one of the people?
I am one of the people, you know me. I'll mix it with everyone. Right. I am one of the people.
Al, you just made a very good point.
We will be there to witness it, as in the volley squad that are turning up very early Sunday morning. So there's no chance of you getting out early before we get there, Hayden, and getting it all done and
I can't wait to
dusted.
see this.
I think we've got about 10 or 12 of us. We are going to be on the water station. So
Isn't
on the run. So we're on the run leg, and we'll be on one of the water stations, or possibly part of the race marshalling, depending on how many turn up on the day. And hopefully we will get to see the elites as well. So it'll be interesting to see how fast they actually do run, having just cycled how many 80 kilometres. So
well, I think that Alex Yee, who's like one of our budding stars of Great Britain, I think he can run a 10K in something like about 32 minutes or 31 minutes. Yeah. It's absolutely outrageous.
Well, one of the Brownlees was on the verge of qualifying for the English track team, weren't they, at 10K? They were that good just at their 10K. They were on the verge. Yeah.
Surely all the elites are in Paris.
With us, Wilco, with us.
That's a good point.
So you don't,
No, this is money. This is money as well. So this is a paid for.
But what about the prestige, though, Al? What about the glory of representing your country?
Yeah, but it might not be.
This is what's interesting about triathlons. The Olympic distance isn't the glory one. It's the longer you go, the harder you go. So it's the T100, it's the Ultraman, it's the really long distances that really get in the world of the superstars out. It's
have you done one? Medals. Have you done one, Al?
I've done a swim run, but never managed the bike.
Fancy it?
I do, but I don't own a bike, and I keep using that as my excuse. I don't own a bike.
Nick, one of them lime ride things. Just borrow one of them out.
Yeah, I heard there was. If you go down Surrey way, there's a bloke who leaves one in the back of a van.
By a public pool, which is basically his pool that he lets people use.
I better still, I'll nick it on Sunday because I'll have access to the transition area. So he'll get there and he'll go, "Where's my bike?" Oh,
who's let me tyres down?
Oh, Joe, actually, to be fair, about a year ago now, I was a little bit blindsided into this because there's a certain person in this room, out of the four of us, who actually said, "Next year, bruv, we're doing a triathlon. I'm going to do a triathlon. We're doing a triathlon." And I just hear excuse after excuse after excuse. I don't know. You tell me. Has anyone else here mentioned about doing a triathlon?
I know. I can confirm that I am signed up for one next year.
Oh, interesting. Which one?
Blenheim.
I am. You know, you've got to ride a bike.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to turn up, walk about. No, but I generally am. Blenheim next year. I'm there. I'm your man. I'm trying to see who else I could get talking to listen to me moan the whole way round. I've already got one recruit. You can guess who that is. I took anyone in it. But no, Blenheim next year. I'm your man. I'm there. I might do T100 times 10, whatever they call it. That's me. What are you laughing at? So, where times does it start? Just before we finish on this,
actually, as Al said, like, you've got the elites and everything. The whole day is full of them. My wave kicks off at 10 to 9. I have to enter the water, and I'm hoping to be done by about midday.
So, what time are you going for?
I'm not. I'm just going to experience it. My first one ever, so I'm going to go to experience it.
How long does something like that take you? Normally, how long did it take you the other day?
Well, I'm hoping the swim would take me around about half hour. Bike ride, hour 40. 10K, I'd like to go under 50 minutes at the end.
My brother did the tri thing. Yeah. He did the swim in 19 minutes.
Yeah, but it depends what distance you're doing. See, I'm doing 1,500. Some of them are only a kilometre. Some of them are 800 metres.
It was a sprint.
Yeah, I think the sprint is 800 metres. This is 1,500.
Why are you doing that? Why bother? It's a bit far, isn't it?
It's the Olympic distance. It's just a triathlon. It's a standard distance.
Oh, you're doing the Olympic distance?
Yeah.
Moron. Okay.
Cheers, mate.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I think that counts as moral support.
Yeah. I'm motivating him.
Yeah.
So, as it says on my thing, you're welcome. Tune in next week to see if Hayden survives. If he doesn't, all his money's coming to me. Beautiful.
And I'll be like floating in the Thames, going down towards the East India Docks.
He'll have his little hobbit hairy feet floating along the Thames in his wetsuit. Have you got a wetsuit thing?
You have to, yeah. You have to have a wetsuit. You have to swim in a wetsuit. There's no choice.
Are you doing that swim in the piss in September?
Swim with the duck feathers, yeah. Yeah, I'm in.
No, that's a surefire trip to the toilet. Okay, right. So I do want to ask Wilco something before we get started.
Oh.
Ooh.
No, I'll be serious. Wilco, how's your marathon training going? Because I know you've got York coming up.
Yeah, not too bad. What are we? It's just towards the end of week 4. So I'm looking to do 16 miles tomorrow. I'm going to try and do my first parkrun sandwich.
Right, where are you going to do that?
Well, I'm going to park at Broxbourne and pop down to Gunpowder.
Right.
And then do that and then run back. So, I've got about 16 in the book. So if I get there early, I'll do a little bit before the race or do a little bit around the wreck when I get back.
Would you classify having panic and anxiety disorders bottling something? Because that's what Mike's just said. Thanks, Mike. You're welcome. It's a bit strong, isn't it? Bottling something just because you've got anxiety and panic disorder about something. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Right. So we want to talk about running shoes, and I want to talk about sort of choosing the best running shoes because it is a topic. It is important that we do talk about it. We obviously do a lot of stuff about running shoes, mainly because I'm obsessed with them. But I think it's worth talking about running shoes and how to choose the best running shoes. But before we do that, I want to ask the boys, what was their first pair of shoes? So your first running shoes, okay? Take a trip down memory lane. If you are watching live, put your comments as we go along. What your first pair of running shoes was. Ooh. So, look, they're all now sitting there thinking, hang on, sorry. That's all right. I just had to let the gendarme go past. Right, so, you can't see it because of the virtual background. Wilco, first pair of running shoes were?
I went to the. He's probably still got them. They're probably in a glass case or something.
Yeah, with a medal.
Yeah, Bangladesh marathon or something. Anyway, I had. I went to the Nike outlet store in Hatfield and I bought. I just saw these Nike ones. It just said running next to them, and they were about 50 quid. And I bought them, and I thought, walked around the shop. Yeah, these will do. And I went in them, and I did my first half in them as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, you do see that. Look, see, Mike's giving me our time. He says lighten up. No, Mike, I'm not going to lighten up. I take offence. You'd see that a lot. Like obviously, I'm running in London all the time. You see guys and girls running along, and they've literally just picked up you could say it like a pair of shoes from, I don't know, Sports Direct or something. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. And you do see that people. It's amazing for me. As somebody who's obviously involved in the shoe world, I find it quite great, to see people in they're like the stuff from Adidas and the stuff from Nike, where and it's great that they're just getting out there and running no matter what. And you just think to yourself, you poor devil. Once you find out about all these different shoes, you're going to be like, then there's another geezer running along in a pair of Alpha Flies. It's just like where people start. But it always amazes me that you see guys and girls in shoes like that, and I think it's awesome. When I think that's one of the best things is people are out there who are just running, and it doesn't really matter what, like they haven't got the latest technology shoes on. They're just literally just crushing it in a 50, 30 quid pair of like Adidas. Do you know what I mean? That they just picked up. I think it's awesome. Al, what have you gone down memory lane and found?
So mine was Birmingham, up and running, late 2016, maybe early 2017, A6 Gel Cumulus, and I hated them.
What number, Al? What number?
I think, well, I'm basing it on that it would have been close to that year, either 16, 17 or whatever. And I hated them, and I wore through the toe box in about 6 weeks. So I had my big toe sticking out for most of my runs. So move swiftly on.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Could I just come back just talking about big toes? I made the cardinal sin of being a size 10 in everything, buying a pair of size 10 running shoes, first one. And shortly after buying those pair of Nikes, I lost my big toenails and they've never come back.
Yeah, there you go. They've never come back, but all you foot freaks out there. We're on Cumulus 26 at the moment now. Just so you know.
So it would have been 16, 17, something like that. Because I didn't buy the latest. I was looking for a bargain bucket.
Bargain basement. Right. Hey, I'm guessing you've got them because that's where you went.
Do you know what? As you talked about it, so downstairs, one of my trainers on, for my very first marathon, my very first shoes I ever run in, I thought, you know what? I'm going to keep them because they are special to me. I've got a feeling you had them as well. I have got the Nike Pegasus 35 turbos.
Oh, have you seen the new version of them?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, I'm tempted, but you keep putting me off saying how bad the Pegasus are now.
Oh, Pegasus is awful, sure.
But these done me such a great job. And at the time, was I thinking about plates? Was I thinking about speed? No, I was just thinking about getting through the marathon. And these just done it for me. So I thought, you know what, I'm never going to get rid of them.
Is that Turbo 2 or Turbo 1? Show it up.
I don't know. I think it's. Let's have a look. For
It's
people
Turbo
listening,
One.
it's
It's got the
like
stripe. It's Turbo One. It's got the stripe.
it's Turbo One. They were a great
That-
shoe. It was
Well,
a great shoe.
that second version of that shoe and that shoe, I think are. I mean, we're getting a bit shoe geeky here, but that was one of the best running shoes ever made.
I
Honestly,
loved it.
it had two layers. You had Zoom X, and you had I can't remember what the foam was in it. It's not React, but it was something like that. But it had two foams in it, and it was just unbelievable. You could literally do everything in it, and it was just a phenomenon. And then they stopped making it, and then they came out with this nature version last year, which was absolute toilet. Good for the gym. And they just literally, it comes out on August the 8th, I think it is. You've got Pegasus Plus, they're calling it, but it's basically Pegasus Turbo 3. If you want to see early review, go and check out the guys, our friends over at Believe in the Run. They've got the shoe on there. But yeah, I'm going to get them because I just like the ones with the stripe on, purely for aesthetics. I just think they look amazing. But those shoes you had, so you ran a marathon in them, did you?
Yeah, ran my very, very first marathon. I think we're talking late 2018, maybe early 2019.
Right.
I think that was it. I can't remember, but yeah, honestly, I wore them. The silly thing was at the time, not that I was naive. It's just what we'd done. I wore them for parkrun every week. I wore them for my long runs every week. I wore them for the marathon. I wore them for everything. I just thought that's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, Al, did you wear your Cumulus for everything?
Walking the dog, yeah. And this is it. I actually tried them on in my suit, so I think I probably even walked them back to the office afterwards because I was so proud. Look, I've got running shoes. I'm going to wear them with my suit back to the office.
Rocking them out. So, Wilco, did you use your sort of one pair for everything?
Yeah, I had a pair of running shoes.
And what point, right, did you go sort of buying running shoes for a certain need? Like, so again,
it was just before lockdown when I was looking at marathons and thought I really ought to get a pair of, get myself fitted up for a pair of shoes. And
right,
and I went to Runners Need on London Bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know the shop.
And and I got a pair of Brooks Adrenalines, and I had about 2 or 3 pairs of them because I then got to the stage where I like these. These are comfy. I'll run these into the ground. Then I bought 2 pairs at the same time and started swapping them out, a red pair and a blue pair, and just did all my running in them. Right.
Okay. Hayden, what point did you then sort of, I don't know, what's the best way to describe it? What sort of point did you sort of change from those shoes to like thinking that I needed something else?
I think, to be honest, it was watching the sub 2, the Kipchoge thing, and I think I saw him in the Alpha Flyers, and I remember looking at him thinking, what on earth are these? These just look ridiculous. And the fact that obviously he run them sort of speeds, I thought they've got to make you run faster. And I was just like hell bent thinking as soon as they come out, I'm getting them. I remember waiting, God knows, and when he first run that sub 2, it's when they first come out for the general public, was ages, absolutely ages. What, year and a half? But I think it was up to that point where I thought, that's what I want. And then from that point, that's what I kept going for. And I think I ended up doing all my sort of like slow runs. I've done all my pace runs in them. I just stuck with them, just something I knew. That's what I loved.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So let's move on. Actually, no. Before we move on, because I do want to get into help people, and let's try and add some value on this, other than upset Mike. But I want to talk about, like, say, choosing the right shoe. But is there any shoe or one shoe that you really regret? You thought, I'm going to need them. This is the one I'm going to use. This is the one. This is it. This is me. Al?
Oh yeah, I can see them.
You still got them?
No, I can't. I can picture them. They were a pair of Adidas before all the Boston 12s and all the.
Was it Ultra Boost or something like that?
I think it even predates that. And I put them on. I got talked into them in the shop because I've got just the shoe for you.
Yeah,
and you're kind of naive and you don't know, and it's a good price, and you kind of go okay. And I think I wore them about 3 times, and it's like this just doesn't work for me. And I think it was, to be fair, I think it was at that time when I was kind of trying to work out, was I stability, was I neutral?
Right, okay.
So I was easily led, is probably the polite way of putting it.
Led
But,
down the garden path.
I will have a good route in the bottom of the cupboard after this and see if I can find them and post them on my Insta if I can. But
Yeah,
hopefully they got chucked out with no remorse.
I'm just looking through some of the comments. We've got Nettie saying Nike Span 6, Nike Oceana from 1984, Saucony Omni 6,
Wow.
Pegs, Asics Gel Excite 8 core. Pages in with his launches. Yeah, I mean, there's some absolute. I bet we've all had shock. So, Wilco, what's the sort of, I don't know, the worst shoe that you?
I've not really had a horror story, really.
Haven't you?
So, no, I've been quite fortunate. I mean, I don't. You know, how many pairs of trainers have I actually bought on my running journey? Whoa, 10 or 12. Yeah, and I've
got about that in the rotation at the moment.
Yeah, I know, but then I've still got most of them. But I tend to sort of like, if I find one that I like, I stick to it, like I did with the Brooks Adrenaline. And then afterwards, when I wanted something a bit lighter to do then, I got into the Saucony Pro 2s. And
I remember you. Yeah,
I've had 3 pairs of those as well. So when I like something, I try and keep it, you know, I try and stick with it, you know, because if it ain't broke, you don't try and fix it, do you?
No, fair enough. What about you, Hayden?
Yeah, see, I was sort of like going to controversially go against what Wilco said. I think it's quite well documented. And mine's current. The most shocking pair of shoes I've bought where I've been really waiting for them, couldn't wait.
I know what you're going to say.
I know you're going to say so.
Yeah.
Alpha Fly 3. I couldn't wait for the Alpha Fly 3. All the promises. I've used Alpha Flies for all my marathons. I couldn't wait for them to come out. Running them, and they're just not that. They just don't work. They just don't work. I know it's stupid. It's almost heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know.
It's heartbreaking.
I'll give.
Feel let down.
Yeah, just to give him a bit of. So Hayden, you obviously your most recent marathons. You know, the last few years, you've been wearing Alpha Flies. Like a lot of people.
To be fair, I've run 14 marathons. I've run 1 in the Pegasus and 13 in Alpha Flies.
Yeah, so you know he's an Alpha Fly junkie, and I know that he was so excited about that shoe, Alpha Fly 3. So that's your biggest. Is that your biggest shoe regret? Would you say?
Yeah, I'm absolutely, honestly, I'm devastated about it. I'm devastated about it. Really am.
All right, look, let's move on to talk about choosing the perfect shoe. So I think first things first, right? Is and this might sound a bit nuts, but is understand your foot type. Okay, so that goes to gait analysis. Al was talking about it in terms of whether he was pronating or not pronating and things like that. You're either going to be, you know, somewhere within the sort of neutral overpronation or underpronation, let's say. You will find that probably you may do a bit of everything, which might sound a bit nuts, but would be depending on how tired you are at what you're doing and things like that. You've also got to think about, which again is the arch and the arch fit. And I know a lot of shoes come up differently with different arches as well. So that's something you got to do. And I strongly recommend in terms of understanding your foot type, not just necessarily, you know, the gait and things like that, but your foot type, to get that checked as well. Just quickly, has anybody here had a gait analysis? No,
never.
Not really.
Not outside of the up and running spotty teenager Saturday shop assistant. No.
If you want to see about gait analysis, go on the YouTube channel. We did a gait analysis when I was coming back from my calf injury with the guys at Carter and Jules. Check that out. I won't go into too much about it, but I think first things first, I think in terms of choosing the perfect shoe is actually understand what foot type you have. And again, that video talks about my type of foot, okay, and the way I am, which is not brilliant in any shape or form. So go and check that out. So I don't want to waste too much. Now, the next thing to consider is your running style and also the terrain, actually, is a good point. So what's your need in terms of a shoe? Are you someone like me who does 90% of my work on the roads? Are you like a hybrid who does, you know, trail work and a bit of road? Or are you like, I don't know, a minimalistic or minimalist person who likes that sort of thing? I think you've got to think about, you know, where you're running. Are you running on a track? It's another good example. Talk about, you know, the fact that we're here in Paris for the So do you consider your shoes based on what you're doing as a runner overall, or how do you figure that out, Hayden?
To be honest, no, probably not. I think I'll take the easy route out and think to myself, if I'm going to do a little bit of, to be honest, I don't do much trail running, but if I got the odd park run that we sort of know is going to be a bit traily, then I'll have a pair of trail shoes for that specifically. But overall, I know that a bit like yourself, I suppose, 90% of my runs are going to be out on the roads, out on paths. So I'll go with a road shoe.
Okay. Al, do you ever consider your sort of?
Yeah. No, I think there is a number of factors. A bit like Hayden, got a pair of trail shoes, but they're normally just good all rounders because I'm not looking to do long distances or even run trails very often. So I'm not worried about lug height and all that kind of stuff. It's just something that will get me around to something that's a bit slippy. I think then it's about fortunate enough to be able to afford a few pairs. Something cushioned for long runs. Something a bit snappier for tempo, and then your race day carbon shoe. For me, the biggest consideration is working on that gait and working on the foot strike. So moving to something that's a little bit more lower drop to kind of suit my running style. So that's a consideration now that probably wasn't in the first
That's a good
early
point.
days.
That's a good point. So that comes on. I'll pull you in on this one, Will Case. Is sort of. I wrote down it as cushioning needs because I had Herm Runs, and he's a bigger guy, right? And he was talking to me about the fact that he wants the most max cushion, more foam the better, because obviously he's putting a big load through the shoes, so he wants more, right?
That was certainly a consideration when I first walked into that shop, the Nike shop, and first bought my first one, and it said running and cushioned. My because I'm a big lad as well. That was my initial thought that I want something that's going to be soft, because being new to running, I'd heard all the it's bad for your knees. You don't want to run on concrete. Oh no, you don't want to do that. So consequently, I was a little bit guarded in that respect and uneducated, ignorant, really, for want of a better word.
Yeah, probably was. Yeah.
So
unintentionally.
So I leaned towards that. I thought, well, I don't want to bugger my knees up. So if I have something that's cushioned, then that'll probably help. So yeah,
you've got that now with the shoe technology. You've got like that. A lot of shoes are like maximal stacked with maximal cushion. Somebody just asked about the V5, the more V5. I'm getting a drop from New Balance. So anybody in terms of New Balance shoes.
Can I ask you a question? Being somebody, do you think people are too guarded about going down the, the cushions, stability route? Do you think too many people buy them cautiously when they don't really need them?
I think they go into a running store and they might get told that they need them, and that's not anything about running stores in general. But if there's a slight pronation, you need it, and that's not necessarily true. You'd be better off getting in the gym, to be honest with you. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not paying it, but in general, I would say you'd probably be better off spending a bit more time in the gym and stuff like that. A lot of people do have. And again, I pronate, right, but mildly pronate. But I don't wear a stability shoe all the time. I have in my rotation of shoes, which is as I said to you, is a lot. I always keep one mild stability shoe in my rotation. But those days where in marathon training, for example, like next week, I've got 53 miles or something like that. That week is the week that shoe's definitely coming out, just to help, when my legs are a bit tight, so my pronation gets a little bit worse, because I suffer on the inside of my legs with my, the muscles in terms of what help with your pronation. So I try and iron that out. But I do think there's a misconception about bigger people wearing stability shoes. Again, listen back to the podcast we did on Monday with Herm Runs. He was saying, because he's a bigger guy, he walks in and they stick him in a Kayano because of his weight and his size. And actually, no, he prefers and gets on better with max stacked shoes, which in theory you'd think would be awful because of the stability issues. Actually, because he's compressing the foam more, it rides it out. And that is the thing. I think some people get put sometimes in the wrong shoe, and it's you've got to take into consideration the drop of the shoe, so the heel to toe, how that's working in relation to the strength of your calves and things like that. There's so much that goes into shoes, and again, this is from somebody who's a geek. And that's why I wanted to do this, because there's a lot of considerations to make, and you can be and Hayden, we was just chatting about this on the train. Certain shoes can cause injury without you knowing it with repetitive. Because again, it's a one leg repetitive activity. Yeah. So the damage you could be doing if you are in the wrong shoe could be endless. You know, you could be flaring something up and you didn't realize you had it. But when you scale it all back, it's because maybe you changed your shoes 12 weeks ago because they felt nice, but actually they're too soft, or you know, they have they have a posting in them that actually you don't need. The posting's in the wrong place, so it's actually rolling you the wrong way, and it's not supporting you. It's actually having a negative impact. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion, and there's a lot of sort of marketing at work. I would
Do you know
say.
what? Do you know what I loved about what Alex said at Hems Runs? He
Yeah.
said, like what you said about the foam, and because he's a bigger guy and he's got the heavier weight, so he pushes the foam down further. But what he's trying to say is he gets an advantage of that because it's a bit like a spring. The further you push it down, the quicker and the harder it comes up. So for him, when he's wearing a max stack shoe, being a bigger guy, that stack comes right back up fast, and it's propelling him and pushing him forward even faster.
Yeah,
So for him, he gets the benefit out of that.
Exactly. He's enjoying. So it has. I don't think they're making the shoes to do that, but actually, it's working. In that respect as well. And it's really interesting what he said about the £400 super elite Adidas shoe that they're all going to be wearing in what was it, a week's time or whatever it was. We've got to wait. At the Olympics, he really gets on well with that shoe, despite it being designed for an elite runner that weighs as much as my left leg. Like, because he's compressing in on the foam and getting the movement off of that with a plate. So he's like the other end of the spectrum, but he's loving life in that shoe. So even though it's not designed for him, you know, it's having that impact. So that's where we've got right off tangent here, but that's where cushioning, right, is key. Because again, you can go the other end of the scale and have like minimalists, like, you know, where you see people like with zero drop shoes, you know, zero stack and all this sort of, you know, people who go that way, and that's absolutely fine. It's great. You know, you've got. There's so much more choice out there now. When you think there's brands like Topo and Ultra and things like that who are doing, you know, natural foot shapes and stuff like that. It's super interesting. Al, what's your take on this?
Well, it's interesting you start to talk about minimalist shoes because outside of running, particularly in the summer, because they're lightweight, I wear Vivo Barefoot because they are minimalist shoes. I've got a wide foot, so they designed with a wide toe box, and the theory is that minimalist shoe is working more of your muscles in your foot, and you translate that into better strength, better stability, and that's why I do that outside of running. I have tried Ultras and I haven't really got on with them. So that's kind of where I'm looking for that 4 to 5 mil drop shoe that kind of meets the best of both worlds. You know, and the low drop, again, if you've had knee issues, and I came to a bit like Wilco, was worried about my knee issues, the low drop kind of supports my style of running that minimizes, you know, some of that. For me, probably the biggest issue is width. I've got a very wide foot. And whilst there's loads of neutral and increasing stability, finding the right width is probably more of a problem. And what it's forced me to do is go up sometimes a size and a half, and you feel like you're just running in clown shoes because you're looking for that lockdown, but you've got so much in your toe box, it feels like you could run with your neighbour in it as well.
That's fantastic. And actually, that was one of the points I made was fit and size. And it's not just width as well, Al, it's length as well. I recently had a pair of Asics Magix P4s that I was testing to get some miles in, and we put the video out now. So I'm going to be taking them out next week to start getting the miles back into them to do another video. But they came up long, and it's a really funny sensation that they're just that fraction longer. And I'm a 9.5 in an Asics.
Yeah.
But they just feel a fraction longer. So it's really important. Again, this is what these are just considerations to think about when choosing shoes. Is the fit and the size. There's some brands out there who are awesome, who do different widths. There are some brands, Nike, and others like that don't. And you'll find also, and this is having a go at all brands, I think, in the racing shoes, there's no variation in width. It's very. I can't think of one like sort of wide fit. I appreciate they're built for elites. I appreciate they're built for this and appreciate they're for that. But there's not really a sizing option for any of these elite shoes. I might be wrong. I'm happy to be told the other way.
What about also the difference between the models between male and female runners as well? You know, are they great? Because I mean, there's looking at other sports. There's been a lot of in football. There's been a lot of cases of women suffering bad knee injuries, like ACL tears, things like high-profile women footballers, and they've put it down to the fact that their boots are not designed specifically for women; that they're wearing men's boots.
Well, so yeah, no, Asics did a good job, and I'll use them as an example. They changed, and you go on their website. They changed the way that some of the shoes are put together to keep it right layman terms, so that it's more gender specific, which I think is the right thing. Puma do it as well. Puma even came out of a shoe last year before, gender specific shoe in terms of, because there's loads of studies being done about it now, which is good and too bloody right, you know. So that, you know, that the brands are doing that. Asics, as I said, is a good example.
Do you know? Sorry, Kate. Do you know what I think one of the biggest problems is? So if I really quickly, no point asking you, Chris, because you're a different level altogether. But Wilco, your last 3 pairs of shoes, where have you bought them from?
Internet.
Yeah,
Start Fitness.
Internet, yeah.
I think this is the problem as well. What do you do about buying shoes when 99% of us now buy them online and you can't go and try them on? Yeah, you can get them, try them on, and send them back. We all know that, but
this is where it's sort of like, I mean, it's, you know, it's sort of like having had the previous model. You know, I'll say, you know, you're not completely blind. I mean, I had a pair of Asics Nova Blast 3 TRs. Loved them. Greatest pair of shoes, regardless of running or anything ever that I've ever owned. They were wonderful, but I couldn't get the next one in a 10.5, and I wanted an everyday one. So I've now got the Nova Blast 4. I took a punt because I thought I got on well with the trail ones. I'm sure these will be fine, and it's worked out okay. But yeah, it is a problem. You can't go round.
Come on, Chris, tell us. What do we do? We can't keep buying them online. We're never going to get the perfect fit, like you just said. So what do we do?
I think, firstly, I would say, because somebody told me this the other day, check that in terms of the sending shoes back, because I know Nike have now changed their policy on shoes. This came up, I think it might have been one of the live streams we did. They've changed their policy now on Nike that you can't try them on. I think, I'm not sure which brand. People will know better than me, because again, if you don't know, I'm really lucky. I get sent, I would say 90% of the shoes, right? But some of the brands still allow you, I think, to try them on. But I'm not sure exactly which ones do and don't. But I agree. It's really hard. Personally, I would always, if you can, go and try them on. Because right now running is really like all over the place. Even in Sports Direct, you can go and try an Asics Brooks back in Sports Direct, for example. On running, running have got stores popping up all over the place. Hoka have got stores popping up over the place. So you'll be surprised that there's probably more places to go and try them on than you realise. Don't forget your local running store. Up and Running are obviously all over the country. You've got, if you're anywhere in the northeast, Christ, go and Start Fitness. It's like a sweet shop for runners. So I would do that. And then I'm going to get absolutely killed for saying this. Then go and buy them online. But it's true, you know, in terms of money. I mean, if you think about it, if you go somewhere, try them on, and then you can go on. I'm going to use it because we work with them, but Start Fitness, and you can pick them up cheaper using a discount code or whatever. Or you go sportshoes.com or whatever they're called, and, you know, they've got a sale on and you can get them. Great. But I do appreciate it. And it's another point I put on there. It is a real... You really should be trying the shoes on if you've got no sort of, you know, history with the shoe. It's very hard. But also, Wilco, you know, they change these shoes up, you know, every 2 or 3 years. You know, you have a new last, and it will come out, and you'll go, hang on a minute, this feels nothing like that last. Yeah, that feels nothing like that last version. The arch has been increased. It's got a new upper on it. Don't forget, uppers can change. So, like, for example, the Super Blast 2's got a brand new upper on it, which is great for some, but horrible for others. And the way that it wraps around your foot, holds your foot in terms of the midfoot lockdown, You know, all that sort of stuff in an upper can make a big difference. If they change that on a shoe, they can go to one of them soppy knit boot construction things that make your foot melt. But that might work for somebody else.
It just depends on your own sort of like outlook on life and whether you're willing to take a punt on them or not, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit sad that we're having to take punts on things. So
I
my
know.
advice is what Hayden said. I personally would try and get along to an up and running store or a runner's need or a Start Fitness and try them on, but don't get puffed into something just because, you know, they've got them on sale.
It is difficult. It is difficult sometimes because most shoes feel great in the shop, don't they?
Yeah. And you've got to give kudos to, and again, I don't know the brands, but you've got to give kudos to those brands that still let you try them on. I would say fair play to them, you know, for doing that, because you really want to get. And again, I would say when choosing a shoe, it's going to be, but like think about what mileage you're going to do in it as well, because, and that's where you're trying on a shoe. If you're going to get a shoe that you're a high mileage runner, so let's say you're doing over 40 miles a week. Right, I would say that's fair, isn't it? For sort of somebody who's doing high, let's call it high mileage. I know there's nutters who do more than that, but you know, you're going to burn through shoes and things like that. But if you're doing that sort of mileage, you might want to try that shoe on for a whole week of mileage, because you might, as you say, Wilco, you might think, "Oh, this is lovely, 3 miles. Gosh, I feel like a hero." You're into your 20 miler, and you're absolutely broken. You know what I mean? It's like, so again, you've got to think about what sort of, if you're doing low mileage, you can get away with a lot more because the chances are they're going to be shorter runs and things like that. So again, that's, you know, basic cushioning, basic support, basic outsole. Don't underestimate an outsole and what that looks like on the shoe. Al, what are you thinking?
Well, I was just going to say, without blowing up your backside, that's why you do a first impressions look and then you come back several miles later, didn't you, to get an overview. I was thinking, you know, we've just had a chat about shoes that you've hated. One of the this might be a bit niche, but I don't know. I'll throw it out there. One of the things that stops me going back to a shoe is laces. I've had some real horrors, and it's all about laces. Yeah. So I had a pair of Mizuno Stabilities. You basically couldn't tie them up. The laces were so short. Go out running and looking like a chav. Sorry, chavs, but that's what it felt like.
No offense taken.
Sorry to all the chavs out there.
No offense taken.
There's a certain Halo Brown that came out with a Cloud Monster. The laces never stayed done up. And I just, you know, didn't go back to that shoe. I quite liked it, but I was just fed up feeling like I was always slipping out. And then I've got my New Balance RC2s. And Wilco, you remember the days of the 50s when the footballers used to tie their laces around their ankles? The laces are so long.
Yeah, the other way, aren't they?
Yeah. So I'm looking at all those shoes going, I'm probably not going to go back, not because I didn't like the fit. I didn't like how they made me feel. I just got fed up with the laces. And I know you can change your laces before.
No. But I'm with you, Al.
But if that leaves me with that impression, then it's a small thing. But when you're making those big financial decisions, everything's got to be right in my
opinion. When they're doing all their research and development, you know, surely this has got to be a primary concern that people can't actually do the bloody things up.
You'll be surprised. I think it's the last thing for some. I'm going to give you some examples. So Adidas, for me,
I knew you were going to say it.
Aidan will know because I stopped him in the middle of the London Marathon. I went, Aidan, I've got to stop. I had to do up my shoelace on my Adidas Pro Freeze. I've done that in, I think, 3 marathons now. I've had to retie my Adidas Pro Freeze. Adidas laces are shocking. You talk about long laces out. Mizuno, I've got the Neo Vista. I was wearing them I was with you on Wednesday night, Wilco.
Yeah.
Bloody long things out. They're like almost dragging along behind, getting stuck in the hedges. If you get a lace wrong, it can actually ruin a shoe. And I've got to give credit, and everyone's going to go, oh, he's going to always say that. But the new Brooks shoes, because I've got the Hyperions here, the new Brooks shoes, the Hyperion shoes, the laces on these shoes are the best laces I've ever seen. They've got like these little notches on them out. I don't know if it's going to come out in the camera. And they just really lock down. They're phenomenal. So if you got a pair of like, I don't know, Pro Freeze or whatever, but also you pick up a pair of, I don't know, Hyperion Max 2s, switch out your laces for race day. The laces on these things are so good. And you're right, it can make a huge difference. I'm just looking at I've got a pair of Pumas down there. Pumas ain't too bad for laces. But yeah, they're small things, right? But they can make a big difference in terms of your feeling against the shoe. And I mean, we've gone over stuff in terms of things to consider, right? In terms of your shoe choices, we've given you some stories and things, but there's more to it than you believe, right? I think the key takeaway for me is honestly consider your mileage. That people don't think about that. Consider your mileage. Consider the sort of surfaces you're running on. Definitely check your foot type. If you can get your gait analysed, do. And think about the fit. What Al was talking about. You know, if you do have a wider foot shape, because this is the great thing. Not everybody's foot's the same. So and some of the brands don't allow for that. So think about that as well. Maybe go for a brand that does offer those wide options. Puma's a good shout. They do a wide option in some of their shoes. So there are things to consider. You know, don't necessarily just go into a sports store and go, oh, those Nike are, you know, lovely. Thanks very much. Because there are other things out there. There are other things that may suit and work for you better. And if you are in the wrong shoe, I'm telling you now, 6 weeks down the line, if you run it in that shoe and you go to the physio, and that's going to cost you at least 50 quid. Mm. You could have spent that money on getting the gait analysed and getting in the right pair of shoes from the beginning. And I think that's the key. Just because some Herbert is, you know, saying on TikTok, oh, this brand, oh, these are the ones. I did a High Rocks and then I did a Tri and then I ran 4 marathons all in a day. Because, you know, and I did a run club with this so-and-so in London. These are the bee's knees. Just because you're seeing that, don't necessarily take that because you're going to be different to that person. Put some thought into your shoes, but just honestly think about your sort of the mileage that you're doing and what you're looking for. And don't, again, like Wilco was saying, don't necessarily be puffed into a stability shoe when you might actually not need one. Like it's really, go back, honestly, listen back to that podcast on Monday with Alex. It was super interesting. He's a big guy, and listen to that. But yeah, that's. Oh, thank you very much, Charles. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to touch on. In terms of shoes and that, I thought it would be an interesting combo. And funny enough, we have gone over an hour. I thought we would on this one because you talk about this for hours. It's because it's so individual, isn't it, boys?
Yeah. Can I just before we finish off? Mick Brain just commented and saying that Asics do the 90-day trial and Adidas do a 30-day trial on their shoes. So that's good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know. And again, I with the world turn obviously into internet based and stuff like that, you know, it's harder to get this sort of stuff right. But I would just say, just put a little bit more thoughts into it. Just don't just go, oh, they look awesome. That geezer with no top on just smashed, you know, a T100 in them.
Are we talking about the new spray-on shoes then? They look awesome.
Don't get me started. Do not get me started on all the YouTube channels that are pumping that shoe because they're getting sent them. But honestly, that drives me up the wall.
Right, okay,
I'm going to lose my mind about that shoe. There's certain running channels, YouTube channels that are pushing that shoe.
It was going all right for 62 minutes.
They should be ashamed of themselves. They should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. It is disgusting in terms of the marketing.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week.
Live from the 1500 metres final.
Outrageous.
Have we seen this? I just wanted to read this out from James Phillips saying, "Hi guys, after downloading all the Long Run and Bite Size podcasts for number 1, I started listening on the 7th of June, all day, 6 days a week, and on Sunday long runs, I'm up to date now from this Wednesday."
Brilliant, James. You need a gold medal. See what I did there? Right, we've got to go off. We've got to get our berets on, and we've got to have a cheeky little walk down the Seine. So we shall see you all maybe next week because we may have a pre-record. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm meant to be doing a pre-record this Monday with somebody. If that goes ahead, we'll be putting that out next week, okay? If we're not doing that, then we'll be back live and we'll talk about something, upset some people, no doubt.
And also, we'll be looking to do a pre-record email special soon. So please, everybody, if you've got questions at any subject, please send us an email at longrunshow@gmail.com.
There we go. So get that in. I'm live on Monday. Just so you know, if you want to hang out and carry on this conversation about running shoes and stuff like that, or if you just want to come on and irritate me, that's fine. I'm pretty open to that. I think that's about it. Isn't it? Have I been able? I think I've done well. We've got an announcement coming August the 1st. Thanks, Hayden, for reminding me. Marketing machines at work.
Good job we're here, isn't it?
It don't matter, Hayden, honestly, it's gone over now. People just switched off from this rubbish. But yeah, we've got an announcement coming on August the 1st, which is awesome. it's going to upset people, which is great, and I love doing that with disruptors, not influencers, people. And I think that's about it. Again, thanks very much to Skechers for my kit. I'm really happy about it. You may have noticed, boys, I can't wait to go on holiday. I think I need to go on holiday.
We were thinking that.
It's interesting, right? I'll just give you an example of my. This is from therapy, right? I'm at that point now. I want you to all think about this because you may have this in your life where you're like, it's a bucket, or she used something else, but it's basically a bucket that's full of water, right? I'm now at that point where that water is now starting to topple out over the top because it's good. She's saying about drilling holes in it to let some of the water out, but I'm now at that point where I cannot take any more. So just be aware. Be nice to me for the next couple of days until I go away, because you may receive an answer like Mike did tonight that you won't like. All right, and that's just me. Okay, so just be aware of that. I'm a bucket full of water. Take that analogy away with you and use it as you see fit. And also, it's worth tuning in next week because if we are live, to see if Hayden died at the weekend. On that cheerful note, we're off to see the Paris Olympics. We're going to go and have a baguette. And we shall see you all later. Where's the outro? I can't wait for Speaker to go back. There we go. Bye.
Bye.